Live your life, boy.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Conspiracy Farm, where we don't start the conspiracies, we just add the water. And now, your host of the most state-of-the-art, most informed podcast on the interweb, I present to you Pat Miletich and Jeffrey Wilson. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for war?
Yeah, rear naked choke of Cocker Spaniel, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Bro.
Change the neighborhood up.
Conspiracy Farm. Go. Check it out.
And what? Here we go. Back in the motherfucking saddle, boy. It's your boy, Jeffrey Wilson, here, back in the farm with my partner in crime, Patrick J. Miletich. Man, it's been a long time coming. I'm feeling the love of our faithful farmers who have missed us, and we have missed you. You can believe that. Patrick, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing good, man. Welcome back to all of our listeners who lost us and couldn't find us again when we launched with a different name to the podcast. I guess we threw people off. We threw a curveball at everybody when we rebranded. So we're back doing the Conspiracy Farm. And ultimately, I guess it's important for us to use this name, not only for people recognizing it, but two, all the people that said we were full of shit for all those years, we can just say, check us now, right? Have we been full of shit? No,
well, and again.
And we're not, no,
no,
I know what you're going to say, we're not doing victory laps. We're not doing any of that. But we're saying, ultimately, hey man, we endured a lot of abuse, and I'm just saying, look, the least you can do is say, okay, we'll admit you guys were right?
We've been around about a lot of shit, right? Yeah. Like, you know, it isn't about victory laps, but here we are in 2023 back in the saddle. And I want to give a huge shout out to Red Voice Media, who has given us this like uncensored, unrestricted platform to speak our truth, man. I mean, as we move forward, I mean, we began a little bit with the Self-Defense Warrior podcast, which when we get our YouTube page set up, be on the playlist, so you'll be able to see our episodes with many of people, Nick Spawn, Tim James, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, etc. We have those guys on there, but we obviously have flipped the script back to the farm because, you know, you spoke and we listened. And man, Champ, the amount of this and the inundation of just like love, like, wow, you guys are back. It's so freaking, it's really cool, man. We've gone through this ebb and flow. We started out however many years ago and really grinded it out and really, really hit our crescendo during COVID. And a lot of people have hit us up and was like, man, you guys, among the other podcast people listen to, helped the farm, help them get through COVID, because we were really killing it. I mean,
a lot of people have hit us up and said, because of your podcast, we did not go get the you know what, and because of that, we're very thankful. You literally saved our lives, and that's what more can you ask for than that? What more can you ask for?
It really, no, absolutely, man. And that's honestly, like, for me, again, I'm not a big on the victory laps, but it's just like being able to exchange ideas, have conversations, and maybe help people see things maybe they weren't seeing before. But again, go back to what I was saying, Mr. Red Voice Media, for giving us this platform. I mean, huge thanks. It was kind of weird, Patrick. You know, you and I, as we've kind of taken this hiatus, we've all gone through a bunch of shit that we won't necessarily enumerate to everybody here. But, you know, as human beings, we all go through this stuff called life. You know, towards the end of our first iteration of the farm, you know, you and I were both kind of exasperated. Everything was just really, really crazy, man. And we took our break, man. We did other things, everything combat, and had really cool conversations with people like George Foreman, Dan Gable, you know, you name it. Yeah, right. Really, really good times. When you had suggested, and we talked to Red Voice Media about getting our other podcast, you know, self-defense podcast or Self-Defense Warrior podcast, which again, you can find on our YouTube page. It was one of those weird things for me, man. Like, we've all been in love in our life, and we've all had that love in our life. And when sometimes that ends, date another person and we go do whatever, but there's always that lingering feeling for that love of your life, the one that you missed or whatever it is. And that's how I felt about the farm, bro. People would hit us up like, man, where's the farm? Where's it at? And so it's so freaking good for me to be back here for us with, where it all started for us, bro. You know what I mean? It started for me with it's me speaking to you and having you on and you saying, hey, let's do this show, man. And we kicked that shit off and we made it happen, Patrick J. And,
when we think about it, not to interrupt, sorry, but
no, it's all right.
When the whole, and we certainly had some assistance from some of the promotions that were going on that I was lucky enough to be on, but we broke into basically right around the top 50 in the world for podcasts and also for radio shows in terms of, geopolitical stuff and things like that. So, we were being heard by an awful lot of people, but I think we felt a sense of almost, I don't know, there was some sadness for me that, so many people missed the boat on not being aware, not paying attention, just taking things for granted that the people that run this planet, care about us, and which we know is not true. They never have. And, ultimately, I think that we just psychologically, to be honest with you, for our well-being, just said, we got to step away for a while. But, now it's about solutions. It's about people, having, number one, getting their health back in order because there's so many people that have been injured by what's been going on, whether it was the initial, or the follow-up, what was recommended by the so-called experts. And I just want to tell people that, there are substances out there, called antioxidants. They are from organic plant matter that are concentrated, and antioxidants remove what are called free radicals from your cells. And free radicals are substances like heavy metals and synthetic chemicals that are trapped in your cells. And why they're called free radicals is they have an uneven number of electrons. And so the only way that we can get those out of our cells is by putting substances in that are organic and very powerful that will remove those things from your cells. And that is why you are suffering from illness for the most part, gut bacteria as well being off. But for the vast majority of the things that, are called diseases, they're being caused by massive amounts of these toxins and heavy metals trapped in your cells. So listen, I'm not making any claims whatsoever, but I can tell you that a product that we launched not long ago called Super Soldier that you can find at organicsupersoldier.com, is a product that has helped me and many more considerably with athletic performance, endurance, with better respiratory function, things like that in terms of, for me, what it's done for me. And I have severe respiratory damage from black mold. So I'm just saying it worked for me. And I know that you've experienced that as well, Jeff, that it does help you as well. So organicsupersoldier.com, please go, just try it. That's all I'm saying. And then we can move on.
Well, no, and it's not, people are going to be like, oh, they're already slanging products. Like, this is not, yes, this is an amazing product, but we have to understand from a macro standpoint, as I've come to understand, as many of us do, there has been chemical and biological warfare been waged on us for a very long time. And we have to understand it literally starts with our soil that our plant is grown in. I don't really care if whatever you buy at the store says it's organic, if the soil that it has been grown in has with all these petrochemicals. I mean, again, not a lot of us can go and set up our own garden and, we can set up our own garden, but like grow our own food to feed ourselves. But we have to understand on a larger standpoint, this is across the freaking planet. We've been hit with chemical and biological warfare, whether it's, our food, our air, our water. It's next level right now. So when Pat's talking about chelating different toxins out of our body and out of our cells, we have to either start eating right or having certain supplementation to help get that shit out of our body because.
Well, that's the thing is people must start growing their own food so you know what it was grown with. That is super, super important right now. With the talks of, these elites saying, Billy G, for instance, saying, he owns, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of acres of farmland now, and he's talking about putting, mRNA technology into lettuce and spinach and all this other stuff. No, You do not alter the original organic plant matter that humans need to stay healthy. That's not how this works. And, I've got I respect him a great deal, dude. And I sent him a text and I was so frustrated. He works for a pharmaceutical company and they do gene therapy, products and things like that. They're doing a lot of gene therapy research and stuff like that. And I sent him a text and I should have just called, but I just said, I'm frustrated, man. I'm frustrated. I know he's a great human being. He's a great father. He's a great husband. He's a devout Christian and he works for, a big pharma company that does gene therapy stuff. And I said, dude, they're literally, they're rewriting human DNA, the signature of God, the creator's signature on who we are. And I said, I just don't understand what you're doing, bro. I get it. It's about the retirement. It's about the money, all that stuff. But it's troubling to me. It is.
Well, without a shadow of a doubt, and I know who you're talking about, and it's, this gets into a lot of, what's been going on with these mRNA vaccines and like the implications of it, and we're starting to see, again, no victory laps, but we talked about like this is not going to turn out well. It's pretty much what we said doing the Cliff Notes back in the day about vaccines, who's when I say ignorance, this lack of information is going to be dangerous for other people. These are the people who wanted to shut down people's businesses, have people's children removed from their custody, et cetera, et cetera. And here we are now, however many years later, 2-3 years later, where the CDC, NIH, Pfizer, et cetera, are starting to explain, yeah, maybe, quite possibly, there should be some strokes in people over 60. And of course they can't just come out and be like, this is all fucking bad. So in the next couple of years, it'll be like now it's people over 60. Then it'll be people over 50, people over 40, people over 30. They'll start lowering basically all the people who got this and be like, yeah, you're probably going to be seeing some strokes or aneurysms or heart attacks, myocarditis in these people who got this. And I'm telling you what, ladies and gentlemen, me personally, I'm just one person of the fucking 8 billion people on this planet. I've literally witnessed an individual who had just got his shot collapse in front of me. 30-year-old kid. He was a kid. 30 years old, you're a kid. Collapsed in front of me, who I worked with, wound up having to get rushed to a huge trauma hospital in Iowa City, had a portion of his skull removed because of the brain swelling or aneurysm and shit that took place. The guy's 30-some years old and he's now in like, whatever they call it, like, at 30 years old. And 2 weeks ago,
he's in a home. They're taking care of him like he's
in a home at 30 years old. 2 weeks ago, a family friend, in the black community, we like to call all of our family friends our cousins. So we've known these guys forever. And so basically my cousin, who I've known all my life and my family's known him all his life, he lives in Australia, older than me, went down with a blood clot, an inoperable blood clot, which brought about a stroke, and he wound up dying, a few days later. And then there was a report, I can't pull it up right now, I probably should share a screen, but about Australians saying like, and people are just dying left and right. So, what you want to believe, it is what it is. There isn't a reason the movie dies suddenly. Like, why'd that come about? That just wasn't some machination of our own psychosis. This is something that's happening. And even these particular agencies are recognizing that it's happening. And again, no fucking sucks because people died off this bullshit. And back when we were talking about, the monetization of people, you get certain amount of dollars if you say they're diagnosed with this or put on remdesivir or the death certificate. They literally were monetizing our fucking demise, dude. I'm not saying it's a genocide, but I'm kind of a little bit of a genocide going on.
Well, again, and that's why, I wanted people to be aware of, start researching, again, antioxidants, powerful antioxidants, and look for those, and you know where to go. Just Google it and start learning more about it. And that's important for people. That's all we can tell you is there's ways of cleaning out your cells and hopefully correcting the situation. And they are normalizing already. They're normalizing heart attacks and strokes and blood clots for children, literally. This is unacceptable. It's unacceptable that they have bent reality so much that you would allow them to actually try to normalize it. That you're so unaware, you cannot be so unaware or so cowardly to accept that the media is feeding you this. I mean, at what point do citizens all surround the media buildings and go, hey man, you've been lying to us, you're responsible for this, the misinformation, the propaganda, and you need to actually go to prison. You need to actually go to prison for this, you know.
But this gets back to what we've talked about, a mass. It's the reason that doesn't happen, my brother, is, you know, we're all guilty to some degree. This mass Stockholm syndrome. Like, we don't, you know, we believe the same people who fucking have lied to us over and over again about so many different things.
I know.
But,
and,
you know, it's like, it's different. It's different this time. It's different this time, Pat. It's different this time. Fauci,
but there's a lot.
I'm sorry.
I think there's a lot of people waking up. There's a lot of people that are waking up.
There are.
And
absolutely
are. You know, so in previous years, before this stuff all happened, the most ardent supporters, the strongest supporters for being anti what Jason Bermas calls it, the boopity boop, and the previous boopity boops, was because their children were injured by these things, or their child was killed, died as, you know, not long after whatever it was, an MMR or whatever they got, and it caused massive amounts of damage. And those are the most strong opponents or proponents for not having their children ever go under these boopity boops.
Well, of course, because they've seen it. But
right.
Some of the most alarming shit should be whatever the legislation that was passed in the 90s of you can't sue these individuals who have inflicted this harm on you, whatever it is, Guillain-Barré or whatever side effect you had from vaccines. For whatever reason, they legislated the fact that you cannot sue these people, which is should be a huge red flag to all of us, because now it's just like they can just do whatever they want, inflict whatever harm on us with impunity, and there's no recourse for us. We just have to pick up the pieces with our harmed loved ones, if, you know, regardless of, you know, if they die, obviously not much care there, but, you know, like a Guillain-Barré or any of these different, you know, autism or whatever is brought on by these vaccines, you know, especially as it relates to COVID, myocarditis, aneurysm, stroke, etc. We're just ass out. We're just ass out of our loved ones. And like you said, what's it going to take for people to make sure you have your booster, make sure you have your latest shot? It's like, really? Get the fuck out of here. As they admit that this is causing these certain harms that we know are happening and we see happening, but
Now let's talk. I think we have to talk Trump's support all of late, and saying, you know, because of him, he saved millions of lives with this treatment.
He's the one who started the warp speed, right? He warp speeded all of this shit.
And we said long before, you know, they announced warp speed and all this other stuff. We said long before, when all of this started, we said they're going to fast track a treatment, and it's going to be the real bio/weapon.
Yes.
Right? We flat out told people. You could see through it so easily. And one of the reasons that I saw through it was because many, many, many years ago, over 2 decades ago, I started researching vaccines when the information was more readily available. And after I researched literally, I spent hours at my computer per day for at least a week of really just reading and researching. And I went, there's no way anybody should be having their children exposed to this. What the mass narrative of that they are protecting you and everything. You can't introduce, again, heavy metals, foreign DNA, aborted fetal cell DNA, chimpanzee DNA, and many other things, substances, into your body, and not expect problems for many people, right?
Without a doubt. And that's what I'm saying with what we're seeing now with this particular brand of vaccine, which was quote unquote warp sped, and that was supposed to mean something cool. Like, wait, we got it done very, very fast. We got this fast food, fucking, you know, quick, ready to serve like, whoa, pump the brakes, motherfucker. Like, this shit's supposed to take 5, 10 years to create a vaccine
10 years.
that meets the efficacy.
Yeah. Right.
And so they did it within a year, and then we're all scratching our head like, wow, why are we seeing these adverse effects? And as you have shared with me, and I'm hopefully, I don't know if we have to edit this out, like the Pfizer, that has said that's why they left the company, because they knew this was going on within the company even before COVID happened. Like, this again goes back to what we talk about all the time. It's eugenics, baby. They don't care about any of us.
No, it makes me want to beat my face on this table, because they told everyone this is an experimental treatment. It's an experiment. You don't experiment with drugs in that way, and you certainly don't experiment with your child's health, right? And I'm not guilting I'm not condemning anyone. I'm saying it's heartbreaking that it even took place, that
right.
folks weren't more aware. And again, Donald Trump saying, I'm responsible for saving millions of lives. No, dude, no, you're not.
Hundreds.
You're responsible for a lot of damage to Americans. You're responsible for it. You are, period, end of story. And everybody else, at the CDC, World Health Organization, all of them have to be held accountable. At some point, they're going to have to be held accountable. And by the time enough people wake up from this nightmare, they're going to hit us with something else, whether it's a banking collapse, whether it's, a much grander scale war that extends into potentially Poland and Europe and, everything else, just like they've, always done. They cover their asses for their misdeeds by, the anger suddenly focuses on the government. And I've said this numerous times over the years. History shows over and over and over again that eventually citizens turn their anger toward their own government, and then it's deflected by the government back outward to other nations by, a further expanding of a war, right?
The farm is back, baby. The farm is motherfucking back. Let's do it. You're absolutely right, bro. You're absolutely right. And I so agree with you. We're in crazy times, man. We are absolutely in. Wow. I'm just, I don't know.
Let's talk about Diamond and Silk, the ladies who are, always been conservative supporters of Donald Trump, actually. And it wasn't that long ago, about a week or so, that Diamond passed away suddenly, right?
Yes.
And during the funeral, Silk, during her speech, saying that an investigation needs to take place, because she said, her sister was obviously boosted and everything else.
I don't know the particulars on it. A little bit I heard I'd been hospitalized with COVID. I don't know. It's very interesting, right? And that's what so sucks. That I'm so cynical and jaded anymore. Anytime I see of these, so there's a documentary, right, called Died Suddenly. I don't know if you can find it a little bit of everywhere. So it's now I'm just thinking everybody who's dying early is dying from this.
Go to Rumble and type in Died Suddenly, and they'll be able to watch it.
Rumble and Died Suddenly. It's just and I don't want to be that person, like every person who dies, or, I forget his name, the Buffalo Bill football player who fell out. I don't think that necessarily was some COVID shit. I think that was some impact to the chest.
Right.
Yeah. Back in the day, man, when I was a kid, junior high and high school, they had this game called BB Bush, or Open Chest Season.
Keep talking.
Where they punch you in the chest, and some people, when they hit you in the chest, it just, people died from it just because it was Open Chest Season. It's this immediate shock to the heart, or impact to the heart, which I've seen doctors explain it way better than I can, but it was whatever it is, it throws off the electrical impulse of the heart, and I think that's what happened, because they hit the dude. I don't think that one was a vaccine thing, but within the same time frame, Jacksonville Jaguar guy was found dead at his house from a heart attack. Could be many other things, but that's what I'm saying. Anything I see now, it's young person dies. I'm oh fuck, vaccine shit. I could be wrong, could be right. But
the thing is that, data and numbers do not lie. We can't, so
without a doubt.
For over 30 years, the average was 29 athletes a year would pass away from heart-related situations. Up until 2021. Then after 2021, it's now at 1,600. 1,600, and probably climbing, right? So that's just factual data. You can't argue with factual data. And so anybody who's, in denial or anything else about this, you just can't argue with factual data.
Well, then of course it's going to be like, well, where'd you get those numbers from? Like there's always some.
Look them up. Don't trust anything we say. Don't trust.
No, true that. No, absolutely.
Right?
And this kind of
gets yourself and do research.
This gets into, I guess we can just go there now. One of the headlines I wanted, because Pat, we're going to do obviously conversations like we've always done on the farm with individuals talking shit about this or that. And then there's going to be other shows where Pat and I are just riffing, talking smack about this or that. And we've kind of, going back to the self-defense where headlines, like news, quote unquote news, what's going on in the world. I wanted to kind of touch on is Joe Biden. Oops, I'm sorry. He has been found with now 5, whatever, a lot of classified stuff.
6 more. They say 6 more documents, but that's not the case. It's 6 caches of documents. Means there could be hundreds of pages in each one of those caches.
But Patrick, listen, you're not understanding, and I'm telling you, it's so frustrating. It's near his Corvette. His Corvette is in a locked garage. So there's no reason to worry about these secret documents that are in his locked garage. If his Corvette is fine, believe me, the secret documents are absolutely A-okay.
But hold on. His son was renting the property from him for $50,000 a month, right?
Oh, snap. So we could
his son had access to all those documents.
Some crack or some crack residue is somewhere to be found in that garage. Dude, I mean, honestly, maybe not now in my almost.
Hold on, you're the guy that coined the phrase. This is all WWE. This is pro wrestling at a global level, and so it's just to piss us off. Are they going to go after Donald Trump and prosecute him for documents and then just ignore Biden stuff just to anger America?
They can't now. That's the thing. They can't now.
Dude, they've ignored.
It's so weird because
nobody goes to jail in Washington.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So no, you're right. So let's just humor the game a little bit. Let's just act like we're living in a fucking normal world. So it's like today I was watching like Meet the Press and some of the early, and I never watched it. I was just up and flipping through the channels. Anyway, the normal. I didn't. But the narrative on Biden's thing is like, no, you guys listen. Trump did all this obfuscation so we couldn't get the documents. Like once Biden found out the documents were there, he did the right thing. We did the right thing. We called the National Archives. We called the lawyers. It's almost like, yeah, I shot him in the face. But after I shot him in the face, I put his head on a pillow, made sure he was breathing all right. If he was still breathing, I called the ambulance. Like, no, but why'd you shoot him in the face in the first place? Why are the documents there in the first place? The whole thing is like how they cleaned it up and like, no, we did the right thing after we found out we broke the law. But listen, one of the first sources I saw that dropped this was CNN. This is, so this could be a horrible analogy, but the 5 families of the mafia, right? The Lucchese, the Bonanno, the Colombo, the Genovese, the Gambinos. The Gambino family back in the day, John Gotti, we all know who John Gotti is. He took out Paul Castellano. The underboss took out the boss because the boss supposedly became a liability. They're taking out Joe Biden. They want to take him out before the Hunter Biden shit hits the streets. The Republicans have gotten control of the oversight committee and all that shit. That Hunter Biden laptop's about to hit the streets legitimately through these oversight investigations. So they are getting rid of Slow-Mo Joe before any of this goes on. And it's so crazy how they're making it a little ugly. They're not just like creating like a medical thing, like, hey, he's just medically incapacitated. They're taking him out in an ugly way, right? Like all this classified shit. This is own people divulging this information about him. They could have did this so much cleaner. They want him gone by 2024, man, because there's too much fit about to hit the shen.
Well, I mean, look, everybody knows he's not in charge of anything in the country anyway, right?
For sure.
At least
No
anybody,
president,
anybody with one eye and half a brain knows that Joe Biden's not running anything. That's very clear. But, you know, who do you replace him with? Certainly, I mean, are they going to, no, Kamala, dear God, help us. But anyway, either way, again, they're selected, not elected. So it's the whole Washington D.C. pit of vipers, den of vipers, all that. It's, man, it rings so true. And I think it just comes down to many Americans their consciousness, their awareness has risen so much that we see now very clearly just how bad this is. And that, yeah, how does it get corrected? Boy, that's an ugly.
Well, and that's ultimately what, you know, our latest show, you know, Self-Defense Warrior was talking about, you know, solutions. We have to basically, you know, do our best we can to organize locally. But like you're talking about, there's so much on the federal level, or even, you know, whatever, man. We can't control what's going on in Davos. We can control how we react to it. We can't control what's going on in the federal government. We can react to it, but we have to be able to have that level of discernment, to have some level of threat assessment, to see what's going on. Look what's happening on the left. They're imploding on the left. They're taking out their own president. Look what's happening on the right. They had this big fight about who's going to be the speaker in the House. You got your rhinos against the supposedly Trump supporters. So there's a certain level of implosion going on both sides. And
well,
I don't think that's an accident.
You can see it in on the left and the right, that the divisions are happening amongst the left and the right now, right? It's the continual division of the citizens to allow them to continue to do what they're wanting to do. So citizens need to just wake up and say, okay, there's right and there's wrong. That's all there is. That's all there is.
For sure, without a doubt.
That's
even within the institution of DC right now, they're imploding. Like on the left, they're taking out their own president. On the right, all this, however many, 15 votes to bring in a Speaker of the House.
Trump and Florida guy, right?
DeSantis, without a doubt. Yeah.
You know, those guys. And then you got the Texas governor, who's got his own page,
Abbott.
for World Economic Forum. He's got his own page. There's a bunch of politicians and, you know, our FBI director's over there in Davos, and it's a nightmare.
The moral of my story, if you could take away anything from anything I've ever said on the farm or anywhere else, it's all organized crime. Politics equals organized crime. They just fucking spell it differently. And to think any other way, and we're seeing it with that $1 trillion omnibus bill with $15 billion in pet projects. It's all a grift, baby. It's all a very, very well crafted grift.
Yeah, well, and on top of that, think about this. I mean, a guy like I won't say his name, but there's certain people who are in the supposed alt media who walk into places like Mar-a-Lago and walk out with $22 million in funding for their friggin' show. Right? So that's what I'm talking about. Is there's a reason that you and I have not gotten a ton of funding, because we're truly exposing the truth. We're talking about the truth.
We're not towing anybody's line. And again, shout out to Red Voice Media for giving us this uncensored, unrestricted platform to speak our truth. And it's cool.
Yeah, we need donors. We need donors. We need people to buy our shirts. We need, we're saying, hey man, spend a little bit of money on the truth, on the farm. The Truth Farm.
Hey, it's a value for value exchange, man. We have put a lot on the line here over these last several years. So the least we could ask for is what we're asking. Yeah. With the farm here, it's going to be, 2 episodes a week. 1 episode's going to be free. The next episode's halfway is going to be free. But if you really want to jump on board and support the farm and support what we do and have done for so long, $10 a month. It's pithy. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. Think about $10, man. You spend that shit in a day on dumb shit. Help your boys out.
So now let's pivot back to Davos and the World Economic Forum and the climate change. I had a conversation yesterday, dude, with one of the top scientists you could ever meet. My conversation with him was so mind-blowing.
Drop this one, champ. Yes, this one.
And we're going to have him on our show eventually. And this guy has 3 doctorates and has been the inventor of so much crazy. I mean, it's incredible. The things, and he was showing me. He was going to his phone on the internet and showing me all the things in his name and who he is and his work and the things that he's invented and his work on, understanding, ecology and how the earth works and, the impacts that mankind has. And that just, so he showed me specifically one of his very close friends, has a website, and I'm not going to give out any information now because I want people to get all the information, when we have he or his friend or both of them on the show. But anyway, he showed me a graph of 600 million years of Earth history of temperature and carbon in the atmosphere. And he said, listen, here's the truth, period. He said, we are currently at the lowest, not the lowest, but near the lowest temperature and carbon in the atmosphere that we've ever been at. And he took me through the graph. And, 550 million years ago. So right now we're at, I can't remember, high 300s in terms of parts per million in the atmosphere. 380 parts per million. It took me back 550 million years ago, and it was at 7,000 or above parts per million in the atmosphere, right? So then he takes me forward in about 150 million years ago or 100 million years ago. He said, look, at the end of the last real ice age, we were at 180 parts per million in the atmosphere. 180 parts per million. So he said when the Earth cooled that much, the carbon ends up going back into the oceans and out of the atmosphere, right? The oceans hold a massive amount of carbon. When the Earth warms, the water, the molecules become more active and they release more carbon into the atmosphere, right? But it's usually 800 years after the peak or the high temperatures that the carbon actually goes up. Okay. So it's this cyclical graph, and people can look for that, themselves. But he said that when we reach 150 parts per million of carbon in the atmosphere, all plant life dies. And who follows that? All of us and the animals and everything else dies. So we're at 380, high 300s or low 400s. I can't remember the exact detail. People can hunt that up. But he went as far as to say this, dude. He said, so they continue to say that they are pulling carbon out of the atmosphere because they say it's damaging, right? And the carbon sequestration and the pipeline and all this other stuff. He said, minus the pollution, that running cars and diesel trucks and trains and all this sort of stuff, releasing carbon in the atmosphere actually could be the one thing that actually saves the world. He literally said that. It was a wild conversation. A wild conversation.
Yeah, we definitely got to get him on.
But think about that. 7,000 parts per million. That's when the world was a jungle.
Yeah. It's height of whatever you would call it. Wow.
So, when we talk about man-made, climate change and all this other stuff, well, I can tell you this, that, it's obvious that there is so much, so many chemicals in our world, from manufacturing, cleaning products, lawn care. I mean, it goes on and on and on. The list is endless. That's where the damage is coming from, if there's damage, right? And then,
yeah,
we talk about, it's kind of crazy when you really dive into it. And a lot of people don't want to even go down that rabbit hole because it's literally maddening to a certain extent.
Well, like you said on different shows, everyone wants to wave that green. I care about the earth. I care about the earth. So whatever narrative they give you, it's like, if you're doing this, you're damaging the earth. You're going to do anything to be like, hey, I'm not doing that. But the notion that they're actually doing something they're promoting something that's supposedly damaging the earth, that's actually helping the earth. I mean, they are literally, as we've talked about so many times in this show, the hundreds of $1 trillion shift that they're going through from this resource-based economy to an energy-based economy, all of our smart meters, our smart appliances, etc. This is next level shit. And this is the stuff they plan for. I hate to keep saying this that we've talked about on the show. I got to stop saying that. If I repeat myself, I'm repeating myself. I need to stop saying we've said this before. But, like the Rockefellers have divested their billions, if not trillions of dollars from petrol and fossil fuels and moved into, what we're now going towards, this technocracy and this economy. It's coming. It's not a matter
they go as far as to say that they want to put a chip in you and your activity will produce digital currency.
Yeah, without a doubt. And there are people who do that. There were like 10, 15 years ago, maybe even 20 years ago, there are people who were willing to get chipped to be VIP going into auto service, bro. I mean, we don't. Right. We'll get into that's another conversation, possibly down the line. But our willingness to take that mark of the beast gets into what we talked about with Aldous Huxley. We're going to beg for our enslavement. We love, unbeknownst to us, we love our enslavement, and we want. We want that latest way to fucking tag us and mark us, whether it's the new iPhone or, accepting terms of services for whatever app, most particularly TikTok, where they can monitor your keystrokes and cameras. I mean, it's
right. Let's talk about let's pivot to, I want to pivot towards the economy, the financial situation, the layoffs, Google, Microsoft, many other companies laying off tens of thousands of people. This is, along with, all the way back when you remember when we were talking regarding the 2008 housing collapse, and you go back before 2008 and you watch the global bank stocks, the Deutsche Banks and all of those just going down, 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 and then the collapse hitting, and then the quantitative easing, which means digitally creating trillions of dollars, QE1, QE2, 3, 4, continually, and they built up the biggest bubble in all realms for the largest collapse possible, right? And so when you look at it from a financial standpoint, the global bankers and the elites had to say to themselves, and this is planned long before, so how are we going to explain a complete collapse of the economies, of monetary systems, and the reset? Okay. Exit or enter stage left, COVID, right? Lock everybody down. That's the explanation for the economy dying. That's for the more printing of trillions of dollars. All of it. They have plausible deniability because of that. It's literally simpleton level. It's simpleton level shit. It's so simple.
It is. But to get your normie to realize it happens on that level, like, no, what you're talking about is something very Machiavellian, very well malice of forethought, but most people are just like, barely walking and chewing fucking gum, so there's no way they're thinking that far ahead, even though we can allude to so many different iterations throughout history where, these conspiracies have taken place where they are thinking that far ahead. But that's the thing, man. I've said it so many times on this show. People ignorant and dangerous for some of the rest of us, because those are the motherfuckers who wanted to have our kids taken, shut down our business, et cetera, et cetera. I say it again, but it's just like, it's bad for business, man. It's bad for business that people who just can't quite get how bad it is. And yeah, I get it to some degree, but it's just like,
right. So what, proving that the dollar, physical currency, is just right now so devalued. Banks don't even have hardly any cash in them. Go to the bank and say, if you're a millionaire, if you got $100,000 in the bank, go and try to withdraw $20,000 in cash and see what they tell you. They're going to go, that's going to be a tough one to fill. You're going to have to give us a couple days, probably. You have to give us a couple days on that. So, tell us why. Why do you want $20,000 out of your account? It's none of your fucking business. Give me my money, right? And that's the reality that we're dealing with. And so what people have to demand is no to digital currency. No, absolutely not. There have to be laws passed. If we want to be protected, Jeff, lawmakers have to pass laws that say banning physical currency is illegal. Like, you can't do it. It should be in the Constitution, or an amendment, right? Where it can't be done, because that is true enslavement.
If they create a situation where fiat physical currency is no longer available, if they implode fiat currency and digital is the only thing available, I think that's where they're going towards. I think we're seeing it. We're seeing
that's where citizens go. No,
printing of.
That's where you say no. You start up the printing presses, and we're going to create money based on. I don't give a shit what you base it on. Base it on anything of tangible value. I mean, base it on tulips
gold,
again.
Which is what it was back in the day. Yeah.
Right.
But that's what I'm saying. They're going to create a situation where it's like this thing you're holding in your hand now means nothing. It has to be digital or something they can monitor and track, et cetera. I mean, we're seeing the slow implosion of the devaluation of our currency, the absolute printing press proof through fractional banking, printing out shit tons of money, whether it was the CARES Act, printing out trillions of dollars during COVID, all this money that's just being printed, and the federal debt now reaching unprecedented amounts of whatever it is, 30 trillion, more than it's ever been. I mean, this is how you implode a financial system, which is my opinion on the conspiracy farm. They needed to implode to move towards this digital currency, UN smart cities, et cetera, putting us on that government dole, the UBI, et cetera, and all that other bullshit. We'll see if it happens. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't give a fuck if I'm wrong, but that just seems to me where we're leading.
How can you possibly be wrong?
What?
How could you possibly be wrong about that? When you know that's what they're, we know that's their goal. Again,
I don't put a lot of emphasis on right or wrong, but I'm just, like you said, my considerations right now suggest this is what they're doing. It's a sustainable situation when you start printing out trillions of dollars as we've done. I mean, look at the aid we've given to Ukraine without even getting into that war. It's like, where the fuck did that money come from? That we could just dole out billions, if not close to trillions of dollars to fucking Ukraine. And, meanwhile, our country is absolutely imploding. So, I mean, it's an unsustainable situation. So again, none of them are stupid. I think there was a certain malice of forethought where it's like, well, we're just going to do this until the fucking, till the wheels fall off, which is, we're on the precipice of that, in my humble opinion.
And you talk about the Pentagon has $2 trillion missing again. Here we go. Right? You remember Donald Rumsfeld's announcement of the unaccountable, massive amount of money the day before 9/11, right?
Yeah.
And that part of the Pentagon is where all those records were kept, right?
For sure.
And so here we are again. They're announcing that the Pentagon has somehow misplaced $2 trillion of what, in God's name, are citizens thinking? So that's the thing. You see the conservatives, so-called conservatives, in Washington, D.C. saying that they're going to pass a law or whatever for getting rid of income tax, getting rid of the IRS, all that sort of stuff. Well, that's in preparation, obviously, for, digital currency and tracking and, all of it, because then the IRS is not needed, right?
I could see that. I could also see that being like, a cosmetic move. I don't see them getting rid of the IRS anytime soon, but I mean, I think a lot of this stuff, whatever. I think even just the teasing of, your cryptocurrency and all this stuff. And, I think it was the precursor used to the kind of conditioning for a digital currency. And we've seen the up and down on digital currency, and we've seen, government talk about regulating and more of the regulating side of it, especially with the FTX debacle that just happened. Like none of this is happening by accident. And I definitely see a move toward destruction of fiat currency and, a move towards, a more trackable digital system, digital wallets, which not only they can put money into, they can take money out of. So if your social credit score is fucked up, then you might have some deductions on your bag. That's what we're going towards, man. Like I've said, China's not only the model, not the beta test, but is the model for where we're going towards, man. It might not happen overnight, but that's where we're going, in my humble.
Yeah. Well, on a brighter side, the gentleman that wrote the lies about me on the internet that, ultimately cost me a job and other things has agreed to fight me in a kickboxing match, Jeff.
I've heard that kicked around, Patrick, and you guys have had some heat for a hot minute there. I guess no names will be mentioned quite at this point, but if you've been following this show and other and followed each of our, or Pat's definitely, social networking. Yeah, he got quite the big brother treatment from another, fellow UFC veteran, not too long ago at the Performance Center, but, he's been talking shit about you and to you for a long time. And like you said, he was very much so integrally responsible with some of his writings, with what happened to you post, doing absolutely nothing wrong on January 6th other than just going and participating and enjoying your First Amendment right and maybe being able to report back on, stuff that was going on that, you know, people were doing and seeing who didn't necessarily agree with the that. You were trying to just go there and just like be a kind of fly on the wall, but they painted you like you were the fucking, you know, whatever, this tip of the spear over there, and you lost your job from it.
Right. It's important to understand that, you know, you can listen to the episodes, of our old podcast, this podcast, The Conspiracy Farm, leading up to that time when we were talking about all the things that Donald Trump was doing and that, you know, was giving off some really bad vibes that, he certainly was not ultimately, who he said he was. And so going to Washington, D.C. was not in support of him. We were not wearing any Trump garb or anything like that. And we were just there to observe and taking pictures with all kinds of different people from different types of backgrounds who recognized me. And so in the end, he wants to walk the dog with my old ass, quote unquote, is what
walk the dog. Hey, you know, if you're going to talk about it, be about it. Mike the Truth Jackson is who we're talking about. Pat trained him when he fought Phil CM Punk Brooks, and he wants to step into the cage.
I cornered him. He asked me to corner him.
I'm sorry. Cornered him. I apologize. I'm using the wrong nomenclature here. But he wants to step into the cage. I'm sorry, it's not boxing ring for a kickboxing match with the champ, and for all intents and purposes this is going to go down. We got a lot of I's to dot and T's to cross, but Mike the Truth Jackson, if you want to find him on Twitter or whatever his social networking is, he has said he will walk the dog with the champ here. It's his forte, and he will without a shadow of a doubt be there. So no date has been set up, possibly spring, summer, but we're going to check it all out and get into it. But that's possibly what's going to be going on here, because there's a lot of meat on this bone, man.
I don't think he's got the guts to show up.
You know, it's some hemming and some hawing and some of our behind-the-scenes text messages on his availability, his willingness to do this. I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of money can be made here by a lot of people, and, you know, it really is going to be one of those, you know, again, talk about it or be about it. He's casting illusions on people for a variety of reasons, and he caught some smoke with Jake Shields up at the Performance Center for this reason. And because of a lot of this backstory with him and Pat, it could possibly go down in a kickboxing match very soon. And you know what? Let me tell you something. Pat ain't old. We're all getting older, but let me tell you something. The champ ain't old. He's going to go and do what he has to do if need be for, 8-10 weeks, get it on, Rocky fucking fighting Drago style up in the mountains, just fucking eating bark and fighting squirrels and shit. You know what it is. It's going to be on and popping if it happens, but we'll keep you posted here because we are back at the farm. And once again, I missed you guys so much. And from what I hear, you guys missed us too. There's one of the ultimate culminations of my life was when Pat asked me to do the Conspiracy Farm with him. I thought he was fucking with me for weeks. And then when we did it, we wound up doing it. It's this history. And I can't begin to tell you how much fun, how much I've learned doing the farm, hanging out with Pat, learning from people, listening to the responses of you faithful farmers out there. It's been next level and amazing, and something I never ever in a million years would have thought would have happened. And the reaction that you got to us coming back is just let me know that we're in the right place at the right fucking time. And I love you guys so much, man.
We've had amazing guests over all these years. It has been quite the education. And, that's a lot of the, for the people that are aware, truly paying attention and doing the deep dive and listening to other podcasts and doing their own verification research on things that we might say or other people say, that's where when we look around us and see all these things happening in the world, and it's very obvious to us and not aware to those who aren't doing the deep dive and actually doing the research, that's where that rub comes from, that how can you not see what's going on? And they just haven't done the work, and they're living their life. They're doing their thing. They're taking care of their kids. They're working. They're too busy, or so they think, to, do a little bit of research.
Well, they are. Yeah. No, you're right. And we've helped fill that gap, dude. We really have and a lot of podcasts do. We're not the only show in town. So it's like a lot of people who don't have the time, who on the drive from work or getting ready for work, can sit down and listen to people who have done the deep dive. Cause I'm telling you, man, I'm thinking of a message I got about somebody went on this huge rant about how they had no clue about asymmetrical warfare, and how this was in our last iteration of the show when we, before we stopped talking about, I had no idea what asymmetrical warfare was. When you guys brought it up, I went on this deep dive and learned about it and how it reshaped how he sees asymmetrical warfare as being applied on us, specifically to propaganda, but asymmetrical warfare encompasses a lot of different things. But I mean, again, man, you guys have reached out to us and you've spoken your truth to us, and we've listened to that and been like, you know what, as much as Pat's heart was completely in the right place wanting to do the Self-Defense Warrior podcast, which, like I said, we'll have our episodes we did up there. Many people, including Lieutenant Flynn or General Flynn, he was wanted to be more positive, solution oriented, which we can still do here. We can talk about the problems and at the end of the day find a solution. So I didn't want to. Ultimately, I'm glad to get back to my girl. Conspiracy Farmers, you guys, are my true love. Seriously. We can go date around, but we got to come back to our true love.
Right. And please support us by going and buying the clothing. Go get one of the farm shirts, the Conspiracy Farm shirts, with the Got Truth on it, like the Got Milk, right? We want people wearing these all over the country, and people are going, Got Truth.
When you buy them, and when you get it, take pictures of you rocking it and post it on our Conspiracy Farm, either Facebook page, Twitter page. I'm not sure when exactly this comes out and when everything is set up. We're all in a work in progress as far as getting the Conspiracy Farm back up, but the store will be up. All of our episodes will be up.
Well, people are ordering the shirts already.
Promo video kind of.
People are sending me pictures, and thank you for the people that are buying those shirts. We want those shirts all over the place. And there's a way of working this. There's a way of working this where, the people that, buy our clothing, the people that buy the pay-per-view, when the Mike Jackson kickboxing match kicks off, that they can be entered in, to a contest to win, a vehicle, a kick-ass vehicle, that sort of thing. That's what we're working on right now, is that happening in the future. And that's what we're about. Right? That's what we're about.
And ultimately, again, Pat and I have done this for several years now, and it's not about monetization. We had an amazing time and we've enriched our lives by doing it, but we have to have support from our farmers, baby. We are dropping 2 shows a week. One's going to be free. The second one, you'll get the half for free. But if you can spend $10 a month to support the farm and support what we're doing here over these many years, it would be so beyond appreciated because it lets us keep doing it. You know what I mean? Pat's busy. I'm busy. I actually just got a promotion out of my job. Even more limited, and it's not a guilt trip. I'm just saying it's a value for value exchange. Pat and I are providing content and been dropping this like it's hot for so many years. You guys can hopefully help us out with a little bit of monetization, a Hamilton, $10 a month Hamilton, each month will help us out. Or, you drop a here and it's all good. And, but at least, we're giving you guys something for free and at least a lot of our second episode for free. Help us out, baby. Help us out. Support the farm. Support what we're doing here. You guys have been so incredibly faithful and really just showing so much support in the announce of us coming back. We didn't necessarily want to go away. Life stuff happens, but we're back. We're back and we love you guys.
That's what I used
we absolutely miss you guys.
Yeah. The thing that I used to say when I was fighting, because we didn't get paid a ton of money back then. We weren't making millions of dollars, right? I think
you missed that window, dude. You missed that window.
My biggest payday was about, I think, $80,000 or something in Japan. But, which is, a good chunk of money, even by today's standards. But ultimately, when people would sponsor me, I'd say, thank you for, donating to the Starving Martial Artists Fund.
Seriously.
So there you go.
Please donate to the podcast fund, ladies and gentlemen, because, we all have a lot of stakes in the fire, but the more support you can give us, the more we can do and taking this bad boy on, which we're going to do. All of our plans leading up to COVID, we were going to take this thing on the road with that, what was it, the Offensive Bastards tour. We're still going to take this on the road for all of the cities, Chicago, LA, San Francisco, Houston, Atlanta, New York, who have supported us.
And it's now going to be called the Got Truth Tour.
Absolutely. You know it. So rock that shirt, maybe. We're going to have the link here in the store. And believe me, now that the farm is back, and even if the farm wasn't back, we were going to have a different variety of t-shirts, different apparel, hoodies, etc. But rock that Got Truth shirt. And when you pick it up, take a picture of it and stunt and tag us on Twitter or Facebook, wherever you can do it. Just show some love, man, because we sure have a lot of love for you guys. Patrick, any parting words for our faithful farmers today?
Just thank you so much for tuning back in. We're back. Yep. Get the Conspiracy Farm gear. Show some support. Spread the word. Spread the love. And let's just spread the truth. That's it.
Absolutely. It's good to be back, farmers. Peace and so much love. Stay tuned. And as you know, there will be more. Love you guys.